This is episode 106 on the Live Blissed Out podcast. Did you know that meditation can increase kindness? Meditation is able to reduce inflammation in the brain. This leads to less stress and anxiety. It also encourages increased feelings of love and kindness. Hello, action taker. Welcome to Live Blissed Out, a podcast where I have inspirational and informational conversations with business owners and subject matter experts to help you get the scoop on a variety of topics. Tired of hesitating or making decisions without having the big picture? Want to be in the know? Then this is the place to go. I'm your host, Marissa Houston, helping you achieve bliss through awareness and action. So let's get to it. In this episode, Marla Press talks about why people resist meditating and offers solutions we can't resist. Marla is a life coach, author, public speaking trainer, art of feminine presence teacher, and facilitator of leading-edge personal development trainings. Marla is an expert at helping people who are struggling with anxiety or unfulfilling relationships or lack of joy with their work. She coaches them to see their blind spots and step into their full potential so that they can create deeply connected and passionate relationships and purposeful work or next chapters. Visit marlapress.com to learn more. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. This podcast should not be considered professional advice. Marla, it's great to have you on the show.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for this opportunity.
I'm excited to have you too. Would you please explain exactly what we're going to be talking about and how we can help our listeners with this topic today?
I would love to. Meditation is one of the easiest and most powerful tools to learn for personal development. And anyone can do it almost anywhere. You can do it at home, in a crowded public place, anywhere. It doesn't have to be under a tree. It doesn't have to be a very specific form of meditation where you're trying not to think thoughts and you're having your fingers in a certain position, your legs, your hands, your breath. All of those things can be done, but the most important thing about meditation is to change your state of mind, to get out of your head completely and just be inhabited in your body. That's the beauty of meditation that anyone can do, and it's so helpful.
I'm so glad you defined that, Marla. I think that we all have a different perception of what meditation is. And oftentimes because we're told that it has to be done a certain way, many of us have tried it and failed and got frustrated. And then the response is, well, that doesn't work for me. I can't meditate. Given the fact that we have so much noise in the world now, our minds are working overtime and sometimes they move in a direction we don't want. What exactly is the purpose of meditation and how does it benefit us in our daily lives?
The purpose is really to change your state, to become much more in tune with your inner self and to become more mindful and present. There are so many benefits that even I sometimes think, can it really cure heart disease? Can it really make kindness happen more frequently? It helps with focus and clarity and emotional intelligence. So that's how it can help you be more objective and relate to other people differently and relate to yourself with more acceptance and compassion. It can also lower blood pressure, ease symptoms of depression, even improve your sleep. There's so many things it can help with.
Do you feel like there's more opportunity for us to meditate? Do you feel like a lot of people are doing it or that there's resistance to it where people are just so busy that they never find the time to do it like exercise? We all want to exercise, but then we put it off and then we're like, oh, I missed today. We start by telling ourselves, tomorrow's another day, I'm going to do it. And then we do the same thing again.
That happens to so many people, including myself. And that's why I call this meditation you can't resist. Because we all resist giving that time for ourselves and doing something that might be a little different or a little challenging. I started meditating in high school, and that was before it was popular or mainstream. I also did Taekwondo, yoga, and I love the martial arts and the yoga, but I couldn't really relate to the meditation. And over the years, I've tried several different types of meditation. There's probably at least 9 different types, and still I couldn't embrace it. Many people try meditation, but they don't stick with it. And there are many excuses, or what I call safe problems, for giving up. A safe problem is anything you create to keep yourself from getting out of your comfort zone, taking an action, or making a small change. So you have a good intention of keeping yourself safe, but you often lose out on new opportunities and growth. So let's talk about the safe problems that people come up with for not sticking with meditation, or maybe not even trying it. Safe problem number 1 is people will tell themselves, I'm not supposed to get distracted by my thoughts, but I can't stop thinking. What you resist persists. I say that a lot. It's like telling yourself not to think of a chimpanzee wearing a red dress and high heels. You can't help but think of that dressed up chimp.
That is so true. Do you remember like when we were kids and we'd ride in the car and then they would tell you, look for red cars. And then all of a sudden you can't not see a red car.
That's right. So what happens is that when we try not to think of something, which is what a lot of meditation is, that's what I learned when I said I couldn't embrace it. And even since then, it's very common to try not to think of your thoughts, or at least to let them flow by, or don't judge them. But even that is really difficult for a lot of people. The meditation I love gets us out of our heads completely. It's an energetic change that happens when we focus on our bodies, and then we inhabit our bodies instead of our headspace. So instead of resisting our thoughts, we don't go there at all. We just get out of our head. And when you focus on bringing all the attention into the lower half of your body, a magic happens. And I guide people through that at first. After a very short period of time, they can do it without any guidance. It's pretty easy to do. And what a relief to get out of our heads. I'm guilty. We live there way too much in our headspace. So that's the solution for not being distracted by your thoughts. But there's other safe problems. For example, people will say, well, I just don't have the time. And if you tell yourself you have to meditate for at least 30 minutes, you may not make the time. But really all you need is about 5 to 7 minutes to get started. And then you can work up to more time. You can benefit from only 5 to 7 minutes of meditation. That would be awesome to work up to more time. But don't think ahead that way. Just think in the present. Can I take 5 minutes for myself? And 5 minutes is better than nothing. In fact, in classes that I teach where we do this meditation, I often start out with 5 to 7 minutes of meditation, in part because I like to use music to go along with it. And there's a lot of great songs that are 5 or 7 minutes long. Another safe problem is I can't seem to calm down enough. I have a powerful solution for that. And it's a little bit hard to tell you intellectually. You almost have to experience it. But for now, let's imagine it's a unique rocking motion. And we all know that for babies, that when we rock them, they fall asleep, they certainly calm down. And even for a lot of adults, me included, if I'm experiencing motion, I definitely get much more calm. This purposely focuses on movement as opposed to focusing on thought. So you change your focus, and it's so much easier to get involved with it. And the other magic that happens is you move stuck energy in your body. You get really good at that movement because so much of really disease, mental, physical, any of that dis-ease comes from stuck energy.
You're saying it's kind of like redirecting your focus.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's where you focus your attention is what creates the result. So instead of focusing on not thinking thoughts, you don't even think thoughts at all. You don't even go there. You just have something else to focus on. And that's why I call this meditation you can't resist, because it's not about resisting. It's getting you out of that resistance.
Like anything else, if you're not doing it, you're never going to see results. We can talk about how great meditation is, but if we're not applying it into our lives, then we're not going to be able to experience what it can do for us. And so you have to give it a try. You have to give it its due course. When people talk, for example, about marketing, they say, I send emails out and I do videos and I do all this stuff and nothing's happening. And that's because you're not ultra focused on one thing and you're not doing it every single day for a set amount of time. Sometimes 30 days is enough. Sometimes it has to be 90. Sometimes it has to be 6 months. You have to give it time to do its magic. It just doesn't happen automatically. And that's the thing that we're dealing with in today's world is we want instant gratification. And many of these habits don't come instantly.
That is so true. We're looking for the next shiny object and the next instant success. I just want to add one more thing about that because I think this will be really helpful. And that is, don't make it a have to or a should, because we're all filled with have tos and shoulds. Make it something that's going to be fun and that is going to help you. So focus on the benefits. Don't focus on the logistics of, well, I got to go here and I got to spend this much time. Focus on, oh, today I'm going to take some time to connect to myself and figure out what I want. Today, I'm going to lower my blood pressure, or I'm going to let go of some of my anxiety. Just think of it in terms of benefits, and then you're much more motivated to do it. No more shoulds or have tos. Make it fun, make it interesting, and focus on the benefits.
I'm so glad you pointed that out. It would be very comparable to, for example, if you're exercising, let's say, but the exercise is something you just don't like doing. Like, let's say you don't like running, and I tell you have to run every day. You're likely not going to enjoy the process. But let's say that you like skiing, and I tell you have to ski every day. It doesn't become a have to. It becomes, oh, I can't wait to go skiing because you enjoy the process. I think we can stick with something and make it a habit if we enjoy the process. Based on what you've been describing, meditation can be a very pleasant process, but it's something many of us are not familiar with and maybe have tried before and have failed because we only thought of it as a certain way, like this is the only way to meditate. And so it's really important to embrace the process that works for you, and then it becomes enjoyable. And when it's enjoyable and you start seeing benefits, and you're going to want to keep it in your life.
Absolutely. That is so true. The more we see the benefit, the more we'll be motivated to do it. And start small, start easy, make it fun and enjoyable. And I think it's going to be helpful for all of us to do.
So many of us are inundated with information, particularly now where we're scrolling through social media and we've got emails popping in and out. And then every 2 seconds, the phone is ringing and something's coming up. And our minds are just redirected in so many different ways, trying to get to a state where you're giving yourself time to step away from all of that and really reflect in a way is something that I think a lot of us would want to have, but haven't been able to achieve, or maybe have tried and failed at.
That's so true. And we are bombarded with information these days and bombarded with stimulus. And that's why it's even more important that we take time for ourselves. It doesn't have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to be a certain amount of time. Just commit to giving it another try and trying to do it without trying to quiet your thoughts, but focusing on what you want to do to get inside your body and connect with your inner self.
When we start to adapt a new habit, we tend to want to go full bore. Let's say you want to start biking. You say, okay, I'm going to get a bike and I'm going to go 5 miles and I'm going to do it every day for 365 days. And a lot of times those goals are so lofty that when we tend to not achieve any piece of it, or maybe just do it for a week and then we wear ourselves out, we give up. This is really something that you need to incorporate in your life as part of who you are and what you utilize to help keep your life in check and improve yourself. And it doesn't have to be a big deal. Even if you dedicate 5 minutes, 7 minutes, that is something that's very doable. And then eventually you'll enjoy it so much that you're going to want to continue to do it.
That's exactly right. It's just starting with small steps and seeing where that goes and not having any expectations, but just being open, telling yourself that you're not going to resist it, but you're going to be open to it and receiving whatever happens for you, because the results you get from it may be different than you got a year ago, or might be different than your neighbor or friends. It's really about connecting to yourself and guidance on how to do that. So that can be helpful too, to work with someone who can teach you how to do that.
Marla, when you speak with your clients and they say, okay, I really want to incorporate this in my life, but I don't know where to start because I've tried and it doesn't seem to work. Do you consult with them and find out what methods might work best for them because there are different ways to do it?
That is a great question because tailoring it to each individual is important. At the same time, what I found with this method that I use, it's so practical and it's so powerful and effective that I haven't really come across anyone who couldn't work with it. It seems to be life-changing for everyone that I've worked with. At the same time, yes, we talk about what's going on for that person and what they might be in resistance to and what's going to work best for them.
It's not necessarily a cookie cutter because some forms of meditation perhaps are not necessarily a good fit for some people because maybe their minds are more restless than some other person. And so taking that into account is something that you can do to help them find what works for them.
Exactly. And this might be a good time to bring up the difference between mindfulness and presence, because those are buzzwords too that people don't really know what they mean.
It can be very confusing. They sound very similar.
They're similar, but they're not the same thing. Mindfulness is the ability to not think about what you're doing and how that might be affected by your past experiences or how it might have a consequence in the future or what you have to do or what you want to say next. It's being in the present moment with your mind. And that is so helpful to start as a practice. And what I like to help people with is taking them to the next step, which is presence. This might help explain it. Have you ever noticed that when some people walk into a room, everyone notices them? And other people walk into a room and nobody notices them or sometimes even remembers they were there. Maybe this has happened to some of you. One person has presence and one person does not. And it's not that the person with presence is being mindful. The person with presence has mastered their own energy and are able to radiate it. They have embodied it so fully that they become magnetic. And they bring not just their mind to the present moment, but their whole energetic inner and outer being. And being mindful gets you off automatic pilot, but you're still in your thinking mind, which leaves too many gaps for your critical mind or past experiences to get in. So the next step is about bringing your energetic presence to every moment so that you are in your full being and essence. It's hard to describe in words. It really needs to be experienced. And this helps a lot with the meditation practice also. So that's why I bring this up. I learned a long time ago that to really increase my peacefulness and even joy and quality of life, that I best do this when I'm connected to my body. And that's not about seeing my body with my eyes or just being aware of what my body is doing. It's about the energy of allowing myself to deeply sink into my body until I reach the place where all is still. I call this home. It's a place of stillness where we let go of our egos, our identity, and our anchors, and we're in a place of infinite potential. It's where we can connect to our inner knowing and wisdom, and we can even answer the question more clearly, what do I want? And this is part of what meditation can help people with also, is getting to this still place. But it's about connecting with the body. It has nothing to do with trying not to think.
Are you searching for a trusted merchant service provider for your business? SG Associates LLC is your partner for quality payment and merchant service solutions. With over 15 years of experience in credit card processing, SG Associates offers merchants the best pricing, products, and customer service available from a payment and solution service provider. Their number one goal is to save their merchants as much as possible on their credit card processing fees. To learn how they can help you, call 1-800 455-5211 or visit sg-associatesllc.com. Is it even possible to say, I'm not going to think right now?
Yeah, for a lot of people, that's just not possible.
So our minds are still working, but we're calming the waters. Would that be a best way to describe it?
That is a great way to describe it. Water has flow to it, and the practice of meditation has flow. So I love that analogy.
Well, then you did a great job. That is what it sounded like to me when the ocean is just going really fast and then all of a sudden you get those calm waters. It's not that the water isn't moving. It's still moving. It's a lot stiller, a lot more controlled.
Yes. It's funny. I graduated high school early and went to college because I couldn't wait to start studying psychology. My friends were all finishing high school, and I said, I got to get to college so I can understand psychology. I was just fascinated by human behavior. And this is why this part of my story, I had these experiences that were unusual when I was that age. For example, I did tarot for people when I was 15, and people told me I inexplicably knew things about their life and gave them clarity. I had an out-of-body experience when I was in dance class as a teenager, where literally my consciousness and mind was on the other side of the room looking over at me in the dance class. I've had visions of fires before they happened, and I even had dreams of 9/11 for the 2 days before it happened. That one still gives me shivers. I know there is definitely something to intuition and inner knowing and energy fields. At the same time, I don't consider myself a psychic or tarot reader, and I don't use any of that in my current work. What I do use is my intuition, which helps me sense what people's biggest need is or biggest fear, or if there's something they aren't acknowledging even to themselves, their blind spot. Humans are really not that complicated. There's only so many needs, so many fears we have, so many stressors and triggers, so many reactions.
We have so much more in common than what we don't have in common. The basic things that we all desire are pretty consistent across the board.
Exactly. And so many of us struggle with a low level of anxiety, and it affects us in everything we do, which keeps us in this sort of defensive reactive state instead of in infinite potential.
Would you say that meditation helps people overcome some of those fears or things that are stopping them from moving forward? Does it help with self-awareness?
It helps tremendously with self-awareness, and it absolutely helps with getting over fears and anxiety because it's more than just calming your mind. When you get into this deep place of inner knowing, you can ask, what do I want? You have this inner wisdom that people can tap into, which is one of the things I learned from all the things that happened to me that didn't make logical sense. Not everything is logical. We have this energy and we have this wonderful, amazing inner knowing. And meditation helps us tap into that. And when we're calm, we can make way better decisions. When you're anxious and you're in your shoulds and have tos and to-do lists, it's really hard to make good decisions. And then you revert to your old patterns and you get in rut and you don't move forward. So the meditation is about getting to that calm place where you have resourcefulness and creativity. And so much can happen from there.
It sounds to me like it also helps with clarity because I find that when you are overcome with some sort of emotion, whether it's something negative like anger or something positive like happiness, you can't see things clearly, regardless, because you are overcome by that emotion. If I understand you correctly, meditation puts you in that zone where you're not blinded by emotion. You're able to see things for what they truly are and then address them that way.
Exactly. That is so true. It's not about not having that emotion or trying to make it less potent. It's about having that emotion fully, being able to make good choices of what you want next and what else you want to have. It's being in that calm, resourceful place to take the next step.
When you go, let's say, to a grocery store and you're standing in line, they always put those little knickknacks in the front and you're just waiting in line trying to pay and people grab stuff, you're just reacting. You're going, oh, chocolate. Oh boy, let me grab one of those things. And so you're not really thinking clearly. You're not asking yourself, do I really need chocolate? Is this good for me? You're not going through all those things. You're just reacting because you're emotional. You can't think straight. And so whatever's in front of you is what you'll grab.
That is so true. That's been happening at all the stores for a long time. They know the psychology of that. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that emotional state is really where, let's be honest, most businesses or marketing companies particularly want to take us to, because that's their goal. If they get you emotional, they know that they're going to get you to respond in the way they want. And at the end of the day, that means money in their pockets, because that's going to be some sort of enticement to buy whatever product they're selling. And they do it through that emotion.
Exactly. With the meditation, it's not about not being emotional, but it's really getting to a point where you're not rushing or avoiding anything, but you're allowing. So you get in this state where you're in a relaxed attention, ready to move, compared to feeling triggered, which is what chocolate does to us when we see it all of a sudden and we're hungry, or feeling triggered, reactive, or stressed out. And how would your life be different if you could be in that relaxed attention, ready to move and make good choices?
We all need that. Particularly now, we're dealing with a lot of stress, anxiety. People are just going through so much in their heads. It's implementing some habits that are going to help you be your best. Achieve your particular goals for yourself, whatever that might be. This is just another tool that you can apply in your life.
Especially because we're so bombarded with information and stimulus, we don't know how to even get into our bodies. But when we do that, it is profoundly life-changing.
I would love it if you could give us a particular activity that we could try with you.
Yeah, so this could be a precursor to meditation, or it could be just something you do that's going to help you in your daily life. And I call it the check-in. It's basically checking in with yourself, because we don't even do that. And just asking yourself, how is your day going? How are you feeling about that? Where do you feel it in your body? So you practice what's going on in your body and connecting to that, not just your mind. So that's an easy way, just asking the question. And then what is it doing to your energy? Because people do walk around and they're in their head all the time. So this will really help you to check in with what you're feeling mentally, physically, and energetically. A lot of people will listen to podcasts when they're driving. So if you're driving, don't close your eyes, but you can at least check in with yourself mentally. And if you're not driving, just close your eyes for a second and just feel your feet firmly on the ground and take a few deep breaths. Yeah. And just become fully present to yourself. Notice where there's tension in your body. We all have it somewhere. Is it your neck, your shoulders, your back, your hands, your feet, your jaw? Where do you feel tension? And then notice how you're feeling emotionally. Are you happy, sad, anxious, angry, worried, apprehensive? And then how are you feeling energetically? Are you excited? Are you sleepy or exhausted? Are you jumpy? Are you open or closed? Do you have high energy or low energy? Just becoming aware, just giving a few moments for yourself can make so much difference in how you approach your environment, the people around you, and the rest of your day. This is such a simple practice. Anyone can do it.
It's one of those things where we don't ask the question, how did it go? We're so busy creating lists for ourselves of things that we need to do that after the end of the day, we just jump right into whatever it is that we normally do, but we never look back on the day and say, how was it? Could I have done better? Am I content with how things went? Are there things I'm going to have to carry over? How do I feel about that? Maybe having that little conversation with yourself and winding down rather than just going so fast and furious that you don't really reflect on how you feel about things.
That's so true. And it's so helpful to just check in with yourself. It could be in the morning. I'm not a morning person, but I know a lot of people out there are morning people. It could be the end of the day, the beginning. The important thing is make it work for you and commit to doing this every day. And just try to check in, not just how your day is going, but how your day is going, how you'd like to have it be better, what you're feeling emotionally and physically, and where there's tension in your body. Because when that tension builds, we get not only pain in our bodies, but we can get disease from having that tension be stuck there. So that alone is just life-changing and healthy and helpful for you.
It reminds me of like when you have a kink in your neck and it just won't go away. And then let's say you get a massage or something happens and you're able to release that kink. You're just so happy. That little thing bothers you all the time. And based on what you're describing, that's what meditation, I think, is just allowing everything to flow better when you address those little spots in your life that are stopping you from moving forward.
Yes, because my belief is that physical tension is totally connected to emotional tension. They go together, and we're often not aware of them and don't know how to release them. And sometimes releasing one will release the other because they're so connected.
Yeah, like a domino effect. Could you share with our listeners how they can get a hold of you and learn more about the services you offer, Marla?
Yes, thanks for asking. You can contact me at my website, marlapress.com. And I'm offering a thank you for listening today because I know you have a busy life and there's a lot of information out there. So I want to thank you by offering a complimentary 20 to 30-minute session with me. And it can be a guided meditation to get help with your meditation practice, or it could be doing a more thorough check-in. Like we started a real simple process of checking in with yourself. And I also help people with relationships. I do public speaking workshops and help people create more fulfilling work. So any topic you want to explore is good with me for that 20 or 30-minute session. And I would love to meet you. I love talking about how to become more calm and more joyful. And it's just my privilege to share my message with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marla. That's a wrap for this episode of Live Blissed Out. Thanks for listening, and thanks to Marla Press for joining us on the show. If you have a question or comment for a future episode, all you have to do is go to speakpipe.com/LBOVM or click the link in the show notes to leave a brief audio message. If you find value in our show, please visit liveblessedout.com to reach out, subscribe, and share on social media. This show is made possible through listeners like you. Thank you. So long for now, and remember to keep moving forward.